You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. With me always is my good friend
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And we're missing Mike today.
Yeah, something about fiber optic cable broke, or it was
amazing, right?
Ground, it was breaking foundations, and it broke the cable line. So no internet for him.
Yeah, well, he's trying to get ready for not this weekend, but the weekend following, the 31st, I think. He is going to be attending the Holly Springs Radio Control Society Wings Over Springs event in Holly Springs, North Carolina. And as a matter of fact, I think we're going to have Doug LeRoy on later in the show.
I think he's also going to talk about the gold. They're also doing that gold program.
They already did. Yeah, they already did. Last time we talked, we were discussing the gold chapter because I think Mike's, a.k.a. Mike, his group got it. So I think Doug has had it for a little bit, and we can ask him about that and let him talk about his event and see what's going on. Yeah, we'll connect with him here later in the show, but for now, it's hot here.
If it's hot there, guess what? It's hot here.
I know, right?
All of a sudden, summer came in with full swing here in Texas.
Yeah, we've had like 3 days of heat warnings. It's pretty crazy. But the good news is I have been out the field, in case you can't tell.
You were crazy. Yeah, I was going to say, the folks can't see it at home, but he's a beautiful reddish hue. If he was a lobster, he would be delicious.
I would.
Yes.
Well, today I went out and joined up with Barry, and unfortunately, several people came in, but they got out of their cars, walked up to the flight line, turned around, got back in their cars, and went home. So Barry and I were kind of like, what? You know, I mean, they just walked out there and said, yeah, forget it. I mean, they didn't even get their airplanes out. So, but Barry bought a new MXS. It's a 91-inch MXS. It's powered by a DA70, and he just got it. So he wanted to come out to the field and fly it, and he needed some, spotter. And he's like, hey, Mike, come on out, and I'll let you fly the Predator when you're out here. So I said, yeah, no problem. So I took my L39, the little EDF, and I'm still repairing, kind of building my trailer so that I can carry all of these big, airplanes that I've acquired. Exactly. Monstrosity, yeah. So anyway, I'm in the process of building the final shelving and that kind of thing to go in there and putting the floor in. So I haven't had a chance to finish up the L39 or the F-15 repair that I need to do, although it's very minor on the F-15, because I've been putting all my effort into this trailer build. And I've been trying to do it early in the morning or late in the evening where, I'm not dying of heat exhaustion, and then trying to do other stuff during the middle of the day.
I hear that you're doing it in like 5 different places. So you're working on it at home a little bit, then you're taking it to Home Depot, picking up parts with it, and then you're going to Spencer's house, and then you're doing some deconstruction there, and then you're going off site, haul bodies or something, or body. I don't know.
I can't talk about that part, but I can talk about the other stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, talk about the other part then.
Yeah, that's very true. In the fact that my trailer is fairly large. It's a 8x8 by 12 basically. I think the inside dimensions are officially 7 feet. But yeah, I can't. I'm buying these huge, large pieces of wood or covering, and they're 4 foot wide, 8 foot long. I'm buying in multiples, 4, 5, or 6 units at a time, and it's just a lot easier to carry it into the trailer because I have a short bed pickup truck. So if I put it in the pickup truck, it just hangs out the tailgate, and then I got to strap it all down. But if I take the trailer over, I just shove it right in. So it's kind of funny how that's working, because I'll do something on the trailer, and then I'll go, I need to go over there and get some more product, load everything, close the doors, load up the trailer, go out to Home Depot, load up all the stuff on the floor, bring it all back, unload it, and then start building again. And I'm being supervised by Spencer. He's trying to get me to, do everything the right way. So he's got some equipment and tools over there that are kind of convenient to use, table saws and that kind of thing that I don't have. But I've been pretty lucky. I've been able to do most of the stuff here. I was supposed to go over there to Thursday, but wound up, going over Friday instead. So he's helping me. I didn't realize I can put the walls up by myself, but I can't put the ceiling up by myself. It's kind of hard to hold a 8 foot by 4 foot.
It's like trying to put hang sheetrock.
Yeah, it's kind of like hanging sheetrock by yourself. And unfortunately my wife's not the tallest, and so the trailer's is 8 foot tall, and she's like standing there going, I'm like, you got to get something to stand on, and she's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So plus it's hot. Now the good news is, I insulated the trailer, filled all the gaps.
That's the main reason why we were doing this, right? Was to insulate the
correct, right? So that I can actually store the airplanes in there instead of in the garage or whatever. But the temperature, I used the R18 or whatever. It's a really thick foam. There's an air barrier between the outside of the metal and the inside, and then there's a silver lining. I think we talked about that on one of the podcasts. So it's dropped the temperature considerably inside the trailer. So even if I'm standing in the trailer on a 115 or so outside, it doesn't seem nearly as bad on the inside of the trailer. And so where I'm at is I'm down to wiring the lights, because I'm going to have LED strips, dual LED lights going down the sides of the, at a 45-degree angle going down the whole length of the trailer. I replaced all of my outside lights with LEDs, and now I'm just in the process of trying to figure out whether I want to do a 6-volt system or a 12-volt system, and build the shelves so I can actually carry the planes. So I got all that stuff in the trailer, last week, and I was running around with the trailer partially built inside. So all the sides are in, the ceiling's not in, and the area where I'm going to have to do wiring is not in. So I'm getting close. So hopefully in the next week or two, I'll have it all finished up. But the big thing is
seems to be the ongoing saga, though. We're in another week or two. Another week. Oh, I'm almost done.
Yeah, but I mean, there's just every time I turn around, I'm either working or I went flying with Barry, and it's just one of those things. So
right.
But
stupid life.
I know it's stupid life. But anyway, the it's funny because I've been flying not quite as much as I was in the last month because the heat's kind of got everybody, and unless you go out there at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're not going to get anything. It's not going to be comfortable. But the three of us have tried to, get out there as often as we can. And so, Barry and I hooked up to go out there, and it actually worked out really well. We had a lot of fun. We flew the MXS. He flew it, kind of maidened it, and then he gave it to me, and I kind of wrung it out. And then we jumped on the Predator, and he flew the Predator, which is a 2.2 meter turbine, in case I didn't mention that before. And then he goes, "Oh, here you go," and handed me the controller and said, "Knock yourself out." So I took off, and it's got smoke on it. So we chased the smoke trail around for a little bit, and I flew about 6 minutes. And he looked at me and goes, "Did you want to land it?" And I go, "It doesn't matter. I mean, it's your airplane. You're just letting me fly it, right? So I could land it. It's no problem. I have no problem landing it."
Somewhere in the desert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I got a big canvas out there. I can just put it down wherever you want me to.
That's right.
And
I'll get it within 200 feet of here.
He just laughed. But yeah, it doesn't land quite as speedy as it slows down considerably because it's got a big Hershey bar style wing on it. But it was a nice landing. The thing that amazed me the most about it is it has ABS braking. Oh. That is awesome. That is.
Now, what do you have on your other planes?
Well, on the F-15, I have air. So it's kind of a hit and miss. If you put too much air in and then you exercise it to its max, you're going to get the max air pressure in the wheel hub. And that may be too much. So if you're going fast, it may be okay. But as you start slowing down, then it no longer turns because you've got max pressure in there, and it locks up the wheel.
Like a carrier landing.
Yeah. And anyway, it locks up the wheel, and it'll flat spot the rubber. which is a pain because now your airplane's like clunk, 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 because it's got a flat spot. And getting the flat spot out is, you can't get it out. You just got to change tire, which is, you go through a lot of tires. Now, the other side of that is not to put as much air in there. So before I put like 100 PSI, now I'm only going to put 50 PSI, which is half as much braking at full capacity. So now when you touch down, you add all of the brakes, but you're only getting 50% of what you got before. And now the thing's just screaming down the runway. And it's not like you can pump the brakes or step on the brake. You got nothing else. So if you come off the brakes and then go back, to try and exercise them to get it to stop, you're just bleeding off air pressure. So it's kind of one of those, you have to kind of fly it. You have to kind of adjust it. You have to kind of grease these. All it is basically is a O-ring inside the hub. And the O-ring is greased. You put a little grease on it, and then the O-ring expands or contracts to the outside of the hub to slow the wheel down. So, needless to say, it's troublesome when you're screaming down the runway and you got full brakes and you're still looking like, oh, I'm going to go off the end of the runway. So, the electric ABS brakes that he has on the Predator, I touched down, I hit the brake, full brakes. And you could see the airplane cycle. Each wheel was letting loose of the other one to keep it going straight down the runway.
Very cool.
And it stopped in, a couple stripes. So I was pretty impressed with it. I immediately came, home, jumped on the computer, started looking at ABS style brakes for all my other airplanes. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. So I don't know. I'm going to have to, do more research on it and see. But, in the old style, that's how they did it. They did it all with air. But the new technology has allowed us to get, electric motors that lower, retract and lower the gear. And now they've got electric brakes, which work off of an electromagnetic, piece of, there's a metal up there, and it adds a magnet on one side. So as the wheel's spinning and the magnetism gets heavier, it slows it down. Works a lot like the Prius brakes on my Prius.
Right. Or like the trailer brakes.
Correct. Yeah. So
they've just been able to miniaturize all that stuff.
Yeah, and then the latest edition of ABS, which is just a pulsing. The first one they did was called a pulsing, and so what it would do is it would grab and release, and that would try to sequence itself. And now with the computers that they have that run the gear and the brakes, you can plug all of your stuff in, and it has a sensor in there, which is it's like a gyro for the steering. So it can actually, when you touch down and the nose wheel, it's going to assume that you're touching down the straight, middle of the runway. So once the wheel touches, it's going to see that. It's going to say, okay, I'm in this heading mode, whatever this heading is, and I'm going to stay in that heading mode. And then you can actually move that with the, your rudder steering if you want, but you're just readjusting it, to get it to stay. So now they actually have the ABS style, which actually release, because anti-brake or ABS is to keep them from locking up. And so what they do is that they both increase the brake pressure, and if one starts to slow the rotation, like it's going to lock up, it releases that one. So now the other one, right, is this one's on the left is released, but the right one is spinning, slower now. So it goes, so it's constantly releasing and trying to find that middle, section. But it does it at it does it at such a fast pace, a fast rate, that basically the aircraft just kind of wobbles a little bit down the runway, but it stays right on the center line. It was really amazing. I was impressed. So that's kind of been my week since our last conversation. Haven't flown a whole lot. I worked a little bit in there somewhere too. So we've been having fun and building trailer stuff. And I think I've talked to you a couple of times, and you've got a new project too, I think.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I got a wild hair, and I decided that the thing that I couldn't live without was a 3D printer of all things.
But you know what? You've been talking about this for a long time, though. The 3D printer has intrigued you since its inception.
It has. I have to admit it has. And unfortunately, I blame this all on YouTube, because I've been watching things from like when they go and restore an old knife or restore like some old piece of furniture, or they make a flintlock knife, or just all these things where guys are building stuff and just doing. And I'll sit there and watch. I have no interest in doing it myself, but I'm fascinated in the whole process that they go through.
Right.
And I just started watching the stuff about 3D printers, and basically in the past 2 years, the price point of these things have just fell off. They've just dropped.
This is true. I think you can buy a whole setup for like $140.
Yes. $140, $150. You can get yourself a super bare bones printer. Now, can you take this printer home, plug it in, and just, a reel of filament and just go to town?
No.
No. No, it's not like popping your toaster in, putting some toast in, and you can just look at it and figure out, hey, I push this down, put the toast in, and I get some crunchy, delicious toast. That is not the case with a 3D printer.
However, they do sell printers that do that exact thing, but you just they're not $150.
No.
Right.
Put 2 zeros.
Yeah, exactly. A couple zeros. The more zeros, the more zeros you have behind your 3D printer, the better quality and the right. Exactly. Because I know that there's 3D printers that companies use that are in the millions.
Well, there's no guarantee you make it any easier, or you're not going to have to deal with some tuning
with
it as well.
Right.
So, it just means that it will work. Right. So in my case, the problem was, I how I usually do things. I'm interested in it. Then I start doing my research, and I spent 3, 4, 5 days reading about all sorts of printers within the price range that I wanted to spend. Then I looked at every review I could find on like about 5 printers. Then I narrowed it down to 2, and then I finally decided on my one. And I got a G-Tech A10. It had all the features I wanted. Everybody kind of was happy with it. And I thought, wow, that's the best bang for my buck. And it has some pretty good reviews.
Sure.
The other, the Creality 3D,
the Ender 3D.
Ender 3D was the second, and they seem to be, basically the A10 is a ripoff or clone of the Ender.
Sure. And
I'm sure the Ender is a ripoff of something else. I was like, okay, I pulled the trigger. The thing comes really quick. I thought I messed up, and it was on the super, super slow boat from China, but it ended up being drop shipped from New Jersey right to my house in like 3 or 4 days. So I was all happy when I got it. So like a little kid, like Christmas, this thing went together really simply, 6 bolts. And the printer was together and ready to turn on. Where the Ender 3D, quite literally, you get a bag full of bolts, aluminum extrusions, a heap full of motors, stepper motors, and then you have to put the whole thing together.
Right.
So I decided, okay, this is great. I got everything. I go to flip the power on. They quite literally made the sound. I'm not kidding. That's what I heard. And then my little LED LCD screen starts flashing. So I immediately, this is like within half a millisecond, I flick it on, and I turned it right off. I went, what the heck was that? And then I'm looking, and I don't see any blue smoke coming out anywhere, but I can barely faintly smell it. So I'm trying to smell everything, and now everything smells like it's like it burned.
Of course, because now it's in your nostrils and everything's going to smell.
Right.
You can smell your cup of coffee and it's going to smell like it's burnt.
But it wasn't like when you burn up an Escape or something.
Right.
It's just,
it's
like that heavy. Oh my gosh, I'm gagging. It wasn't anything like that. It was just it was just a bare wafting of a smell. So anyway, I'm looking everything over and I go, okay, I must have put something in the wrong slot. Now I have to say, 6 bolts, and they do the wiring harness, and the wiring harness is ingenious because they do it so everything's measured out. So you can't take the X-axis wire and put it on the Z-axis wire because it won't reach.
Oh, that's smart.
Right. Yeah. So they basically trimmed all the wires for you so that they reach what they have to reach with just a little bit of play. So I rechecked that. I plugged everything in, quadruple checked everything. I looked at the manual. I looked online, watched them reassemble it. I checked it all. I go, everything's in there good. Okay, here we go again. And I turn it on, and this time,
I love the sound effects. Those are awesome.
I love it. Yeah. I see the smoke, eject out and come out of the control panel, module board.
So this time you really did smoke it.
Oh, yes. And now my LCD screen goes blank. It's still lit, but backlit, but it's just blank now. And I'm like, oh boy, that did it. So I open up the control module, portion, and I look at my control board, and I look at these. They're called stepper drivers, and it's what gives the voltage to drive, and basically the brains to drive the stepper motors.
Right.
And I look down, and you can clearly see that one stepper driver does not look like the other. And sure enough, that was the one that was all burned up. So I was really disappointed that the Neely electronic curse hit again. I happen to have this terrible curse in my family that I buy anything electronic, no matter how much research I've done, the best of the best of whatever equipment. I get the one on the guy who's, finishing the thing up on a Friday.
Right. At 4:35.
4:35, and the guy's rushing to get out of work.
Right.
Only put 3 bolts instead of 6, and my thing falls apart. Every time. Almost anything that I buy that I really want or I've done the research on always falls to pieces.
So the good news is that it's working now, though, right? You fixed all of that stuff.
Yes, basically now I got it working, and I'm now at the next stage of trying to figure things out, and that is how to make the prints out. But I tell you what, man, we almost talked a half an hour.
Right.
We got to get Doug in here, so I think we got him coming up or whatever.
We do.
So I'll just bring all this up in another podcast because really, it's kind of a funny, sad story.
Yeah, sure.
And hopefully I'll have some good news of, the gloriousness of having a 3D player. And,
right. You can tell us all about it. Yeah, because I've been around you long enough to know that once we go into this, it's going to be a deep, dark, wormhole of oh my gosh, I haven't make you cry. Right. I haven't slept
go through the whole gamut of emotions
exactly.
that I've been going through and lack of sleep.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. So, and we got to have it for Mike to listen to it because I'm sure he'll probably have a bunch of comments from the peanut gallery. Yeah,
but I will say one thing, and that is if you're retired and you want something to do, get a 3D printer.
There you go.
It'll bring some joy back into your life.
It'll keep you busy, that's for sure.
It'll keep you busy for sure. You will stay out of your wife won't even know you're home.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's in my hair all the time. Where is Jim? I haven't seen him for a month. Get a 3D printer.
There you go.
That'll solve all those woes.
Yep. There you go.
The nature of the interwebs, man. I think Doug's trying to give us
absolutely. So that's good. We have Doug in the studio. Doug, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. And we were going to touch base. The first things first, you are having a big event. Bring us up to speed.
Yeah, so this is our 3rd annual charity fly-in called Wings Over Springs. It's our annual event that we host in conjunction with the Holly Springs Parks and Recreation Department. They allow us use of their large event field, which is once we mow the grass and get everything situated, it becomes a very nice flying venue. We use that to raise money for the club, which we then turn back to the park, give money back to the town. But our big fundraiser is the charity that we sponsor, which is Meg Smile Foundation, which is a local charity in the Holly Springs town, set up in the name of the founder's daughter who had an inoperable brain tumor and passed away several years ago. And they created this foundation in memory of Meg. And it works by giving children with incurable diseases experiences, or essentially bring smiles. So flying brings smiles to us, and that's what we want to do for the community and for the pilots that come to the event.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. I know you guys have had success in the past with this, so hopefully this will be even a better year for you.
Yeah, and like last year, I think you talked about you had the news covered you guys, and you had quite an outturn. So, what do you are those guys going to come out and support you again, or what do you think?
I'm optimistic that they will. One of the weather forecasters for the local TV station lives in the neighborhood, so we're good friends. And I said, "Hey, Wes, were you responsible for that guy showing up at 7 a.m. wanting to get footage?" He said, "Maybe." So.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
At any rate, we're going to anticipate it this year, and we'll have. We weren't ready, is an understatement. But when they show up, they're on a timeline, right? Sure. And so we had to the event didn't start for another hour and a half, and we had to put on a little show for them. But we're going to be ready this year with at least a plane or two ready to put in the air at a moment's notice. So,
perfect.
And I remember drinking powder because that was the other thing. It was very hot and humid that day. So at 7:15 a.m., I looked like I'd been working the field for all day. It was pretty.
So give us the time and the event coordinator, or how you're coordinating the event. What's going on during the event?
So the event details are that gates open at 8 a.m. This is Saturday, August 31st, and it's at the Jefferson L. Stug Farm Park at 2401 Grigsby Avenue in Holly Springs. It's an event field in the park where we have our flying field. Pilot landing fee online right now is $15. If you wait and sign up or on the day of, it's $20, and five of the $20 is going to go towards Meg Smile Foundation. And we've got electric hookups. There's no overnight camping. It's only a one-day event.
Right.
We've got 20 power poles with 120 volt AC, so it's an electric only event. There's plenty of places to charge. We've got Getting Sauced in the City, a food truck that's going to be showing up serving lunch for everybody. You need valid AMA, and in conjunction with the event, as we do every year, we're going to have a multi-GP event. So there'll be some drone racing. We'll have drone races set up at the side of the field, running simultaneously with the fixed wings, helicopters, and whatever else that wants to fly during the event.
Wow, sounds pretty impressive. Now, is this the first year for drone racing or second?
No, it's actually the third.
Third.
So last year was, so it's kind of maturing. They have a pretty good setup. They let folks take a ride, on the quads for the public that comes in, and that's one thing I want to mention, that the public is invited to come around midday. 10 a.m. is when we welcome the public in. They're welcome at any time during the day, but just to keep it kind of compartmentalized, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is really the public time to peruse and see some models and flying. And what we do during that event, around the noontime demo time, we give away small items that are intro to RC type items, so ready to fly aircraft, small 1S. We've given away Sport Cubs and Champs and things like that during that. And usually kids are what are buying those raffle tickets, and all those donations go right to Meg Smile. So the Meg Smile volunteers will be out in force and
Perfect.
Doing their thing. I didn't mention we do have a special guest this year showing up.
No,
a celebrity.
A celebrity.
Yeah.
Can't be. It's Elvis Presley.
Well, it could be. That depends on what type of suit he's wearing.
We're going to make him wear an Elvis suit. Actually, I believe AK Mike is coming out to see you guys. Yes.
AK Mike is coming out, and so we've got the Park Flyer podcast as an official event sponsor as well.
Very cool.
So we'll have Mike on display. We've got more than a few club members. Nicholas being one in particular that's stepped forward and offering his entire fleet, minus a timber, for Mike to choose from and fly.
Now that's pretty amazing.
And given that this podcast will come out a few days before the event, if we want to tell Nick to pack all of his planes up and bring them out in a trailer, that might be good. Then Mike can just fly a different one every 15 minutes.
There you go. Well, we'll have to see what that's about. So I think Mike is all about flying. I think he has a few podcast duties while he's out there, but we did that at the Electric Festival. Jay wasn't able to attend, and we both were running around there, and everybody was like, fly this. I was like the test pilot for the week. So I ran out there, and we hardly got enough interviews for our podcast. So we're excited for him to go out. He has family in the area, so I think he goes out to visit family, and then
he's double dipping.
So yeah. But luckily for us, it's in the travel budget, so he
perfectly in the travel.
I know, right?
For that,
so we're excited about it. So are you gonna have a little place for him, or how's that gonna work?
Yeah, so last year this is our third year, but last year we experimented with a little bit different layout that seemed to work really well. So we've got at Show Center Field, we're going to stake out basically club tents, and so we'll have a centralized spot for viewing of the pilot raffle prizes. We've got I will mention, we've got a super grand prize drawing. This year we scored a Ohio Model Products Yak 55M.
Ooh.
Electric plane. So that was provided to us from Plain Nuts RC, which they'll be at the event as a vendor. And right now we've got the good folks at Hangar 18 Hobbies are finishing the plane and donating all the hardware, all the servos, ESC, the receiver. It'll be basically ready to fly. Spectrum, you if you win it, you bind it, you can fly it.
Wow, right there at the event. That is awesome.
Yeah, so we'll be posting some photos. They're about done with their build, and we're really excited about that. So the way it's going to work at the event, just the specific, is when you get there, we've got probably, I'd say, $2,000 to $2,500 retail value of pilot prizes. So there'll be an exclusive pilots raffle.
Right.
So for participants, you can get 30 tickets for those raffles for $30. And when you do that, you're going to get one ticket for this Yak 55. So it's always been a great thing. When I've gone to events, I've always liked walking away with something.
Sure.
And every year we've been able to get a ton of giveaways, and people have walked away pretty happy that they've come to the event. So we're excited.
Wow, that's awesome that you've done all that work. And we're going to give a shout out to Plain Nuts RC for providing that, and Hangar 18 Hobbies for putting it together. That's really amazing that they're willing to extend out and help you guys out for that. I actually have a Yak 55M sitting in the other room.
Oh, wow.
Thanks to Jay.
That's right.
Although I think mine's probably, I don't know how big yours is. Mine's a little smaller probably. But yeah, I used to own the real thing. I used to own an actual full-scale Yak 55M, and I was for a birthday or something. Jay wound up giving me a kit model of it. So it's a 60 inch. And then what I did is I basically stripped all the covering off and covered it exactly like the Yak that I owned in the past. So it was it looks almost identical to the one I had. And then now my Yak one is part of the Yak 110. I don't know if you know what that is up at Oshkosh, but it's the two Yaks they put together. They fly it as a twin. Anyway, it's pretty amazing.
I'm not familiar, but that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty nifty. So, well, that's very exciting. Yeah. So, we are once again going to tell you that public is allowed at 10 a.m. and the gates open at 8 for pilots. I assume you have to be an AMA member to fly.
Right. You do need to have your AMA current. We'll be checking. You got, just show us evidence. Bring your AMA card the simplest way, or you can show us something on your phone, that scan of your card or whatever. But do that. We've got right now. We've got probably 32 or 33 pilots pre-registered, which is a little better than our pace last year. So I'm optimistic. This could set an attendance record this year. We had almost 60 pilots last year in total. So
wow.
Our goal is to grow every year here and make this a special event.
Sure.
We seem to be the only sanctioned event happening on this Saturday of Labor Day weekend this year. The last 2 years there was an event going on at the coast, so we kind of limited our marketing just in respect for that club having their event.
Right.
We marketed basically from mid North Carolina west. But this year, since we're the only one happening that weekend, we're opening up. We've been doing mailings out to all the clubs in North Carolina. So come on out and enjoy a Saturday of Labor Day weekend and have fun in Central North Carolina.
Perfect. All right. So that's Wings Over Springs. It's on August 31st. It is put on by the Holly Springs Radio Control Society. And come out and visit with the Park Flyer podcast as well. Because we will be there in force, and then come out and get a raffle ticket for a neat airplane. So a Yak 55.
Yep.
Well, I know that your time is short, but we wanted to kind of ask you because last podcast or two we talked to AK Mike and he was telling us about the Gold Club, and you mentioned that your club is a Gold Club. So
we are.
Why don't you take just a few minutes and let us know kind of what you did to get there and what others can do to get there? And
Yep. So, the AMA's got this leader club program, and there's different levels of doing that. You can, progress from, I think, I guess it's bronze, silver, and gold.
Correct.
Don't forget about copper.
Yeah, don't forget the copper one for us. the penny,
Yeah,
the pinnacle.
I make that joke about the frequent flyer programs. Now loading the paper medallions,
That's right.
and then you've got the faux silver,
Right.
silver elite, silver diamond, and then eventually it's like, oh, main cat. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, actually, with the activities that we had done, it was in our vision kind of we were aware of these programs. We said, well, we want to eventually apply to these and get some of these, recognitions from the AMA, because we are trying to be active in the hobby, promote the hobby, get kids interested, do all these things. At last year's Wings Over Springs, Jay Marsh, who's the District 4 VP, he's been at our event every year, and he approached me and said, hey, I want you guys to apply for gold leader status. And at that point, I hadn't looked at all the requirements, so I thought, wow, that seems like a big step. Don't we have to go through the progression? And anyway, he encouraged us to do that, and I looked at the requirements. And basically, when you look at the requirements, there are some things you have to do, and we checked most of the boxes. But the situation is that each VP has the ability to waive one of the requirements. So in our case, they waived the requirement that you had to be a club for at least 5 years.
Oh, well, that was
We'd only been a chartered club for, I think we're on our 4th year now. So
very cool.
It's easy. It's good. We all got these nice little gold leader pins that everybody that joins the club, I put that on their membership card. And
very nice.
It's kind of neat. And we got a plaque, and I gave the plaque to the Parks and Rec department for them to display it, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a field. Sure. We wouldn't have this great relationship and be able to do these great events.
Right. Well, and you're helping them too, so it kind of promotes everything around. But that's pretty exciting, though, that you. So you were officially a gold leader club. You didn't have to go through all of the levels, but you kind of jump right to the end. I know there's a big long list of requirements, and having an event that's outside of your club, like the Holly Springs Swings Over Springs, is part of the requirement. So you guys check that box and have done a really good. And I think it's amazing that you guys are supporting a charity on top of that as well. So I congratulate you on the hard work. I know that it's not easy, and being a president takes a lot of time. So.
If you don't mind, I can cover the requirements your listeners might not be aware of, because again, they might think that it is really difficult, and it's not. And I would say, from myself, if any club that's listening to the podcast and wants to reach out to myself or the club, would be willing to help you.
Sure.
So there is that the requirement that the clubs must be chartered by AMA is for a minimum of 5 years. Your club must be open to all AMA members and not limited to a certain number. We do have a notional limit on our club just because of the size of our field, but in the application we explained that, so that's not really a big impediment. Right. Of course, it assumes you have some bylaws or something, some rules you're operating by, so there's that. The clubs must develop and post safety and operational rules of their flying sites, which we do, and most clubs I'm sure do, so we showed them a picture of that. Clubs must file a copy of safety and operational rules at AMA headquarters. So we just basically, whatever we have on our kiosk, we sent that to the AMA. A club's flying field must have separate areas for flyers and spectators clearly marked as such. And in our park situation, we have the Parks and Rec department, per our spec. They paint lines on the field for the flight line, spectator line, pilot stations, things like that. And then you have to have the AMA safety code posted and visible at the club field. So again, most clubs probably meet these requirements, or many of them, and can get some additional recognition. I think it helps out with promoting what we're doing.
No, I quite agree with you, and I think if the city or county or state, Parks and Recreation, whoever is dealing with you, it does help if you're, if you have some recognition from the higher ups that you're actually doing things the correct way. So,
right.
We had an incident not too long ago. I think we mentioned that, we had to deal with both the city, state, county, everybody involved. So, we had to basically kind of talk to each one of those guys and, kind of make amends. So, that's a great program. So if you're listening and you need some more information, you can contact Doug at the, you have an email they want it, or you want them to just join or send it to the club email?
Yeah. Why don't you? The email is very simple. Just put in the subject line, question about leader club status or something.
Sure.
But you want to send an email to at hssrcg.org. And that's our general club inbox. So I look at that email and I'll get that email and I can have a one-on-one, give you a call or whatever, however you want to follow.
Perfect. Well, that'll work. We can do that. Tell them the Park Flyer podcast sent you. That way, they heard it on here. Well, man, I really appreciate, I know it's late out there, but I really appreciate you joining us and kind of giving us the lowdown on your event.
Wait. Oh. I got a question before you wrap it up. Doug, all right. So I got to ask you this one thing. The last time we talked, you decided to jump on the bandwagon with the whole, autopilot, little miniature board, wingmaker board. So where are you at? The last time
you want a talent update?
Yeah.
Well, I'm waiting for AK Mike to get here so I can talk to him about the talent because I've got questions and I know he's got answers. No, it's I haven't made it yet. I'm really a sad case. It is so close. It is so close.
Well, maybe, just maybe, you still have a couple of days before. So if Mike gets there, maybe you can maiden it out there. Everybody can be excited. So
Mike just got his done. Just about 2 months ago when he
because he brought it out to the Electric Festival and spent his whole time with me in the RV, trying to get it figured out. So
work, yeah. So
well, I am gonna have a conversation with him about it, and I have some additional questions. I want to take some good notes.
Sure.
It's nothing's hard. Mike doesn't have to do any prep or whatever, but. I chuckle at myself. You guys gave me this project, or didn't give it to me. It piqued my interest, and I got this board. And I'm like, well, I've never done any board level soldering, but I wasn't really afraid to do it. I just had never done anything, right? So I was all excited to start, and I soldered those doggone header pins in upside down, if you can believe that.
Yes, we can. That sounds very familiar.
So they were upside down and they looked great to me until I started to try to connect servo connectors on. I'm like, why won't these fit? It doesn't feel like it's connected. I'm like, you know what?
As we got to edit out all of the curse words.
What was wrong was I had these long pins I'm clipping off like a haircut. I'm like, this doesn't seem right. So anyway, I'm walking around with this board at work.
Right.
We've got a little electronics area at work, and I'm like, where's the desoldering station? I got to get this off here. It's embarrassing. So anyway, I probably have overheated it.
Oh, sure.
It still works.
Sure. Right.
Mike should be able to set you straight when he gets out there. No problem.
I might just put it in his luggage and have him take it back and he fly it. Because when the fire starts, if it's in Texas, maybe it's okay.
No, it's not. Yeah, no fires out here either.
Yeah, I can see it. There'll be a fire that'll start at his house. It'll catch on a tumbleweed and end up at Jay's.
Yes, exactly. And then eventually end up in mine. My backyard.
Yeah, there'll
be this investigation to understand how the source of the fire got from North Carolina to Texas, and then all of a sudden back. And Wings Over Spring will be canceled. The club will be shut down. Bad thing.
No, that won't happen. But
yeah, well, the reason AK Mike's not here is because the ground outside of his house got so dry that it broke the fiber optic cable line.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it ripped the cable in half.
Have you ever heard of such a thing?
No,
we haven't either.
There you go.
That's the excuse he's using, though. So we'll excuse him this time.
Like a fissure opened up because the ground it got so dry it shrank.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I know, right?
And his neighbor's house, the foundation started cracking up the side because it got so dry, and then it started.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well. Any rate,
we'll excuse him this time. Whatever excuse he wants to use. We're not there, so we can't verify it. But if you're from the Dallas area and your house, had a big fissure open up and split your cable, let us know, right? No, I think.
So the second thing is, Doug. So do you have a favorite plane? A new plane that you got that you're working on? Anything new that you're working on?
Are you going to debut anything at the? Are you going to debut anything?
Yeah, are you going to be taking to the festival yourself?
No, not really. I've been collecting some. This year, our club had a couple indoor flying events.
Oh yeah.
So I've kind of implemented that a little bit.
Facebook page.
Yep. You put it on our Facebook.
I think
page.
you faced a few of them.
Yeah. It's so next year the club we're going to try to do one of those a quarter. It's really popular.
Oh, yeah.
I mean we had a ball.
Sure.
And this we found a local church that's got a rec center, big gymnasium. We rent that for a Sunday afternoon and. we had at it. So I bought a one of those little. It's a yak actually. It's a little indoor E-Flight 1S little 3D yak.
Sure.
A few of the guys had that, and they were just having a ball with it. We had night vapors. We turned the lights out and flew them in the dark.
That's awesome.
So anyway,
that's so much fun.
Everything's new and small.
Well, there you go. Small. I got the opposite. Everything's new and big. So it's my I fell into that.
You graduated. Yeah,
I did graduate. Graduated elementary school and went right to college. No, not really.
I'm accepting that the Park Flyer podcast has a host flying a jet.
I know
I've accepted that.
Well,
we might have two.
It's okay.
We figured that it was with the three of us in there, at least we could kind of make it work. Well, listen, we know you got to go, but thank you so much for joining us, and we really appreciate you putting this on and hosting our other host, Mike, AK Mike, and I'm
really excited to have him here, and I know he'll have a great time, and he will be worn out. We'll make sure his digital recorder's full.
That'll be good. We'll have to hear all about it and let him.
He asked me, what can I do while I'm at the event? So I sent him a list of stuff, and I didn't hear from him again for a few days. So I think he has
Probably he was not expecting that list.
I want Mike to have a good time, and it will be a good time.
You have to park the cars. Why don't I have to park the cars?
You see, I need you to valet all the people. That's awesome. So, well,
I've got him signed up for parking lot duty, and
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, if you're out there, make sure you look him up. Make sure you give Doug and his crew a thumbs up, and make sure you contribute to Meg Smiles. That's what this event is being put together for.
And what's the dates again, Mike?
It's August 31st. That's Saturday at the end of this month, and it's a one-day event. And it's at. Tell me the venue again, Doug.
It's at the Jefferson L. Sugg Farm Park at Bass Lake.
All right, Bass Lake. There you go. So.
We're right off downtown Holly Springs. So if you can find Holly Springs on a map, you're really close to us. So there'll be plenty of signs directed vectoring you in.
Oh, perfect. There you go. So if you're in the Raleigh-Durham area or Holly Springs area, make sure you take a day trip, go down there and see those guys, and tell them the Park Flyer podcast sent you. So, well, Doug, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks, Jay.
All right.
Hey, no problem, buddy.
Perfect. Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to hear Mike's take on the Holly Springs event. I think
I'm jealous. He's going to have such a good time.
Yeah. So I know, right? I'm jealous. We'll have to fix that. Anyway, we'll talk to him when he's out there and see if we can get some data and some audio from some of the people that are out there having a good time. But other than that, man, our hour is up. It's hard to believe.
Once again, zip.
I really feel bad that we could talk for like 3 or 4 hours, but I think people would lose interest.
Often we do.
That's true.
That's how we start this stupid thing, right?
Yeah, I tell you what. I when cell phones first come out, Jay and I had huge bills. Luckily now we're on each other's frequent flyer plan, and we don't have to pay for it. But AT&T or whoever is losing a boatload of money on us.
Yeah.
Especially when you were in Alaska. I think our record was like 4 hours or something, 420 or something we talked. Yeah, AT&T
Sir,
hated
you're costing us 80% of our overcharges in the whole state. I'm told that I'm now deemed to, interrupt and turn off your phone call.
They look at it and go, wow, what is this dot right in the middle of this Alaska? Because that guy burns up some serious phone time. That was awesome. Well, man, you got anything planned this week, or
just to keep cool? I still have a plane that I have to maiden, and
right.
I don't know. I may just sneak out one early morning and try to maiden it.
Well, good.
And I'll have something to talk about when we come back next time.
Good. Yep.
But
and then
I think next time we're gonna, we'll have the stuff all up with Holly Springs. So
yeah, we'll have to hear about all those shenanigans out there. So that'll be good.
You?
Well. No, just probably going to finish working on my trailer a little bit and try to see if I can get it all done before. I know the Best in the West is coming up in October, so I'm going to try and get stuff completed by then, but I don't know if I'm going to get to go. Just so that you know, I got a new airplane at work, so I'm moving to a different fleet from what I'm on.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to have to go into training, and it's probably going to be right in the middle of October over the Best in the West. I'm going to be sitting in Dallas and training, so who knows? I don't know. They'll let me know. I don't have a class date yet for the new equipment.
How hard can that training be?
And then
you hit the black box and flick this switch and then start reading the magazine.
I know. No, that's not
16 hours later, you put the magazine down, flick the switch, look for the runway.
Yeah, why do we need pilots anymore, right? We just that's right.
And let it bring it down an ILS approach.
We don't even need any. We just need a guy to push the button and read a magazine. That's what we need. Yeah, I'm sure all those passengers listening to this are appreciative.
Captain Monkey, how's it looking over there?
Captain Monkey, have another banana. Well, man, once again, I cannot believe the time has just zipped by. But we appreciate you and Doug for being on the podcast. And sorry we missed Mike. We're gonna have to get in touch with him, and I know he's excited about going out and visiting. So if you're in the Holly Springs area, make sure, once again, you go out and visit the Holly Springs Radio Control Society. They are big supporters of our podcast. Make sure you go on the Park Flyer Podcast Listeners Group on our Facebook page. Special shout out to Philip. He went to Oshkosh this year, and he's been posting quite a bit on our Facebook page, so it's kind of neat to see the full size and the little size at the same time. So we'll have to touch base with him when he gets settled in and we get settled from all this data that we're picking up on 3D printers and jets and whatever else. So next time, I think you're probably going to get it from Holly Springs. We'll talk to Mike, but for now, I'm Michael from Arizona.
And Jay from the hills of Texas.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.